We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. I am Rob, and I'd like to welcome you in. I'm not going to say, hey, what's up, Izzle, because Izzle's not here. So therefore, I'm flying solo today. But I'm still trying to make it fun. May not be as funny, but it should still be fun. We should still get something out of it, even without my little man beside me. So either way, we're going to do our thing. One of the things I thought about, and as you can see, I'm in my dashiki, I'm celebrating Black History Month. And, when you think about Black History Month, there's a lot of ththings that go into that. Some people say, oh, yeah, why you got to have a separate month? And, you'll get those people that say that, or you'll get people that say, we don't have enough in the month or whatever. But one thing I'll say is you take advantage of what you have, and then you try to build on it. So for those that say we don't need a separate month, I would say to those people, if you included us in the whole year as we should be, then we wouldn't need our own separate month. So, inclusion could solve a lot of that. But that's not what we have. That's not where we live or how we live in this world today. So therefore, we have to make sure that we celebrate our own. And it has nothing to do with taking away from any other race or any other people. But if you don't pat yourself on the back, if you don't acknowledge the greatness that you've accomplished as a people, as a person, then who else will? So I think it's a beautiful thing. I remember as a kid, we used to, celebrate Black History Month in school. And, it's all these little things that they do for the month. And it was cool. But, you always learned about the same people. As if it was only you got to your top five, so to speak. You had Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King. Very little on Malcolm. They ain't talk about him too much. But, Booker T and W.E. Du Bois. Those were the people that they really, it's like, oh, let's talk about them. But there were a lot of more, like Malcolm X, like, Marcus Garvey, and a lot of other people, great people, Shirley Chisholm, that did some great things for our people. But that's not even what I want to talk about as far as those people. They did great things. But one of the things I was looking at is that, a lot of those people died very young. Or their plight into doing great things started very early. And I say that to challenge young people. I know sometimes older people may get out to be like, it's almost like they don't listen, or we don't listen sometimes. I guess I'm an older person now. But it's kind of like we don't listen as much as we should to the younger generation. And in reality, the younger generation, you as a young person, should be driving this train. What we should be doing as the older generation is giving you some wisdom, giving you some guidance, letting you know some of the pitfalls that we experience. But you should be driving. You should be leading the movement, whatever the movement needs to be. Young people should be moving, should be driving that, and should be leading that. Martin, when he started, when he started the boycott, the bus boycott, I think he was, around 26 years old. I mean, young guy, and just think about it. Malcolm and Martin, both of them actually died at 39. You had Medgar Evers, another guy who died young, but they were already in the movement. They were already doing things to try to make change or have change come about. And I think what happens is if you wait for old people to move you forward in life, you're probably not going to get there. Because what happens is older people, we talk about things and we can give, but that energy level, that comes from the youth. That and even the vision. See, we talk about what was and how we saw things, and we can give you some guidance on some pitfalls. But the vision to take us to the next level is coming from somebody young. It's coming from the youth. So I would challenge you as a young person, male or female, don't just wait for the baton to be passed to you. Go grab the baton. Pick up that. Go pick it up and take it and move it forward so that you don't lose your voting rights, so that you don't lose, any of the rights that we've gained as a people. And also that we don't get clouded with civil rights, that was fought for, and they just try to lump everything in it. Because then when they lump everything into civil rights, what they do is it's easier to tear it down. We're talking about the right to vote, the right to be treated as equal, the right to have, that same footing, that same opportunity as our white counterparts. And I don't mean this in any disrespectful way to white people, because in reality, most of the younger white people had nothing to do with it. Some of the older people, they working to change some things and make it back. But in reality, it's what they were taught as well, and they want to hold on to what they think or how they see things. So we need young bloods, young influence to come about and say, oh, look, I need to make a change. I need to do something that's going to move us into in a new direction. But I will also caution you, don't do it based off of your experience necessarily. You do it based off of your energy and your vision. You get the experience from older people because they got the experience. They worked in different places and they've done different things to help you understand how to gather people together and motivate people and how to get them going and keep them going. So you can learn from that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. But what you want to do is like the bike was already developed. But instead of trying to make the bike, oh, let's make a better bike. We keep making a better bike. Well, let's make a motorcycle now. The car is nice. But okay, so we move from just having a car to having trucks and having SUVs and having, all these different things, electric cars now. But you had to start, and you don't reinvent it. You just make it better. And so I challenge you as younger people to say, okay, we need to take what they've done and make it better. We need to figure out how do we stop the crime in our neighborhoods with our voices, because most 18, 19-year-olds, they ain't trying to stop whatever they doing in the streets because I say it. But if you 22, 23 years old and you talking to them, they going to hear it a little differently. And I'm talking to my conscious young black people. Because some may hear this and they be like, yeah, that don't make sense. That's because you probably the problem, as opposed to being a solution. Don't be afraid to organize. Don't be afraid to pull people together and say, this is the problem, and come up with solutions to solving the problem. Because you can do it. You're smart enough. You're living in the environment. You're living through what's going on. So you know better than anyone, oh, I can come up with a solution. See, my solution may not work anymore because I'm not tied into that generation anymore. So if you're tied into the generation, then you should be a part of that solution. I'll give you everything I got as far as here's how you do certain things. Here's how you pull people. This is how leaders conduct themselves so that people will follow. But the power, the strength, the energy, that's all you. You got it. You just got to be willing to put in the work to live it out, and not just rely on, or not just wait on somebody to give you permission. Because again, most of y'all didn't ask for permission with the stuff you're doing now. You just saw it and you said, oh, I'm going to do it. But now So don't wait for permission to make your community, make your people better, to challenge your people. Look, we got a problem in the black community with guns, with violence, with unemployment, with not being paid on an equal level, housing. There's a lot of problems. Not voting is a problem. But there's so many problems. But for the most part, if you don't pick up and start trying to resolve these problems, they're going to continue and get, not only continue, but get worse. So at some point, you got to say, as that 22-year-old, 26-year-old, 30-year-old, that, yo, I'm going to make this, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to gather my people together and we're going to make some changes. Y'all on every social media, on TikTok, X, whatever else, Facebook, Instagram, y'all got all these followers, y'all following all these people. Use it to your advantage. Things that we didn't have when we were young. So ours was, you meet people, you see them in the street, you talking to them, and you're trying to get them to do what you want done. So when I was, got out of the Army, one of the things, and I joined this group called Crossroads. And there was only about 8 of us brothers that was in Crossroads in Philadelphia. But we held, we had people come to Temple, and we did voter registration, and we talked to people about the reasons why it was so important to vote, gathering people together. It was only 8 of us, but we had to do it by getting flyers made, passing out flyers, sticking them up on the poles, the old school way to get people to say, oh, let me go check that out. And we got people to come through. It's 8 of us. We ended up with over 200 people showing up. But that was us doing our part. So what you, on the other hand, in your generation, what you can do now is you go online. You can go online and gather your friends, gather all these people that follow you or that you're following, and let them know, it's time for us to make some changes. Your generation, you tell them, our generation is ready to make some changes. Our generation is ready to stop, to help stop the violence in these communities. And our generation is ready for our people to start voting in masses. We can give you information, meaning the older generation, but the action comes from you, and it's so much more powerful. And I think the problem is, for most of you, you've never heard how much power you actually have. No one's really talked to you about the power that you have, in the sense of, this is a good thing. You can do some powerful things. And so because no one has actually talked to you about the power that you have, and a lot of times you sit back and you wait for somebody else to do it. Well, I'm letting you know that you got power. Your voice is very powerful. And some of you are leadership material, or are leaders already in whatever else you're doing. Some of you can be the next Martin Luther King, the next Malcolm X, the next Barack Obama, whoever, the next. You can be that powerful voice and not have to wait for, you to get older, for you to get wiser. Because again, wisdom is something that God gives freely. He'll give it to you even at a young age. But then you also need to be smart enough to tap into the wisdom of the elders. See, I think, and as we talk about, I'm wearing this dashiki, it's kind of like the African thing, but one of the things that Africans did very well was they honored their past. They honored their elders, and they learned from their elders. They respected their elders, so that as they got older, and they was like, oh, my elder, they're getting older, they can't do it. I'm picking this up and running with it. But they're taking the wisdom of their elders with them. America doesn't quite work the same way in a lot of cases. Some do, some don't. But in most cases, we kind of look at our elders as, they old heads, they don't know nothing. But you forget, in order to be an old head, you had to know something. Now, we got some dumb old heads too, so I ain't gonna lie to you. But in reality, if you have somebody that was doing something, or that's even still working. Maybe the work that they do is a little slower now because they're getting older. But it's your turn to get out here and get the work done. And you can do that. It's just that you have to understand the power that you have. You have to understand that it doesn't take all these degrees, or it doesn't take, what it takes is a heart to want to see your people do better, a heart to want to pull people together. You're trying to pull people together in love. And sometimes as you're pulling them together in love, then you will find that I can do this. You're pulling people together for a common goal. What's our common goal? You, as a young person, you find that common goal in your area. I ain't telling you to solve all the problems of black people. I'm telling you, in your area, in whatever you're doing, there's something that you see that bothers you, and that you think should be better. Then that's your fight. That's where you jump in and say, okay, I'm going to work with people. I'm going to pull people together to solve this problem. And as you're working to solve that problem, maybe others will see how you've done it whether you're in South Carolina, in North Carolina, in Philadelphia, in New York, in California, in the Midwest, Chicago, wherever you are. People will see, this is how they did it there. So now let me replicate that here. But somebody has to start. We talk about, we got all the, mayors and different, and again, they're not to say that they don't have the right, they don't want change, but too many of them are tied to money, because people put money out to get them in office, so they can only do but so much. However, when you do it, and it's a grassroots type of organization for change, you ain't working off nobody, can say, well, we own you. No, you own the process. And you can follow through with making things happen that some politicians can't, even if they wanted to, but they really, and in some cases, they may have wanted, but it's like, I can't step on the toes of my donors. Well, you can. And they may even help you to do it without keeping them out of it. But that's just, I got to figure out how to do this. I got to figure out what's important to me. So one, I would challenge you to figure out, what's important to you? What do you see that you know for a fact this needs to change? And you got ideas. And then your ideas, you tap into your friend group, into your Instagram followers, into your Twitter followers, or your X followers, or your Facebook followers. You tap into all those people and say, this is the solution I came up with. I need your help. Go to your elders, wherever they may be, and say, hey, how do you think this is the solution I have. How do you think I should get started if you don't know how to get started? Hey, this is what I'm looking at changing, and I know how I can change this, but I need some more information. And you go and you get that information, but you keep it moving. Keep that train going. I'm telling you, you will be so surprised at what you can do as a young person. Again, Malcolm wasn't old. Martin wasn't old. Medgar Evers wasn't old. Most of the people that started weren't old when they started. They started young. I got a nephew who worked for the city of Philadelphia, and he's been doing things, writing policy since he was a teenager. He only 21 now. But when he was 14, 15 years old, he was doing that. He was in the grind, working, writing out, figuring out how to do things, being a part of what the solution should be. Young man. And so you don't have to be old. This is not about, again, Black history is cool, but you make history now. It's time for us to start saying your name as a part of that person that changed something? What is, we can say, great civil rights leader, whoever you are, whatever your name is, can go behind that. The person that helped curb crime in inner city, your name can go behind that or go in front of that. You should be the next historical figure. It don't all look. We can't just always talk about LeBron James and and all the sports people or the actors and all the musicians. That's fine. It's a place for all of that. But change is not coming from them. Your community getting better is not coming from them. It's coming from you as that young person that's willing to step out of their comfort zone and is tired of watching everything around them go crazy or fall apart, or watching their brothers and sisters and cousins and others die on the street. That's where the change is going to come from. I believe that each one of you that if of a certain age is ready to make that change. And when I say a certain age, I'm not talking about, I gotta wait till I'm 21. Even teenagers. You have a place to start. You can begin to talk to people in your school. You can start wanting to be the change, be the new historical figure. So that when we go get to our 1 month of Black history, we don't have to just go all the way back to Frederick Douglass. We can talk about you. We can talk about what you are doing or what you have done. Because it's important that we have young people moving that ball forward. Old people, appreciate you. We did what we did. Some of us did something, some of us ain't do nothing, whatever. But either way, now it's time for those young people and for you older people that's listening, give them help. Support them. But don't stop them. Don't tell them it's too hard. Don't tell them what they can't do. You give them information on how to get it done. Never talk about, it's too hard. It might be hard for you because you're old. But it ain't too hard for them. They built for this. Their name should be up in lights. Their name should be a part of the next civil rights movement, the strengthening of the civil rights bills. Their name should be a part of it. We shouldn't still be or only talking about the people of the past. It has to be some young bloods out here that's willing and able to step up. I believe it is. I've talked to young people I know are brilliant people. I've seen them do things, whether it's in the church or especially on the courts. They do things and they galvanize people. But now you take that same ability, that same leadership quality that you learn on the courts or on the field or even in church, and you say, okay, I need to do it more in my community. I need to use those same leadership skills to galvanize my peers so that we can make change in our community. I've seen it so many different places. And if you're listening to this and you know some young people that have shown you that they have those abilities, and maybe as older person, what you need to do is start pointing them out and giving them that encouragement to say, you got this. I'm proud of you. I see something in you. I believe you can do that. And then you help get them there. You give them that support. You give them that encouragement. You keep patting them on their back until they feel as strong about the ability they have as you do. But it's our job to not just hold on to the mantle forever. I mean, if you look at even in our political world, most of these people it's like you got all these old politicians. President old, the leader of the houses and stuff. They bunch of old people. Where the young people at? Because they won't let go. Move out of the way. Let some young people just say, we need to lead. You can be president at 35 years old, I think it is. But yeah, we ain't never gonna have no 35-year-old president because old people think, oh, they too young, they don't know nothing. But no, that's not true. And especially wouldn't be true if you would help groom them from in their teens through their 20s, they really would have been ready. But what you do is you try to let them live and let them, be wild and whatever. And then when they get older, it's like, oh, well, they got all this baggage. Well, look, you got baggage too. But my thing is, allow the youth to run with this ball for a while. Because again, if we see in America, old people have messed it up anyway. The problems we got, basically because of old people. Young people have been more integrated than probably ever in this generation. And what's happening is we still have a set of older people that wasn't integrated, trying to change or make the younger people believe it's a bad thing. And I'm not for or against integration. I really don't care. But what I'm saying is, if a young person has an idea, let's go with their idea. If a young person has a way to change something, let's listen to them and see how can they change it. And give them the encouragement to go make that change, man. Go do it. I'm telling you, don't just sit, if you're a young person, don't just sit back waiting for somebody. Go take this thing. This is your country. You're going to be living in it longer than most of us older people. Unlike me, I'm going to be living for a long time. But, most young people, y'all going to outlive us. So if that's the case, why wouldn't you want to make this country, this world, the way you want it to be? And stop letting people that, in most cases, some of these politicians, they ain't got but a couple of years left anyway. But then they trying to make everything the way they want to make it, and then they going to be gone. Young people, stand up. And I'm not even, look, and I get the 40-year-olds and the early 50s that y'all like, we got a voice. Yeah, you got a voice too. I'm not discounting you. But I'm talking about them 20-year-olds. The early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, even the early 30s. I'm talking about you guys. Really, with the different ideas, the different vision. That's not afraid to ask why. One of the biggest problems we have in most businesses is when people do something, they do it forever and nobody ever say, why we do it like this? And people will say, well, we always did it that way. But yet you have that young person come in and say, it's an easier way to do this. And everybody else been doing the same thing for 15, 20, 30 years. And this young person come in and say, well, why don't we just do this? Because they got new ideas. They see things differently. And we should allow them to see it and speak on it and make the change. So that things will get better. So things will be easier in certain cases. So that we can protect the world that God gave us. The environment, the people in it, the animals in it, so that we can protect those things. But young people, you got a different vision that you have that some of us older people, it's like, I don't see that. But I ain't supposed to see. I don't have, that's not the vision for me anymore. I'm giving you instructions on how to help you. I'm going to help you take care of your vision. I'm going to help you make your vision come to fruition. But as far as the vision itself, that's yours. And so, young man, young woman, have that vision. Harriet Tubman is not the only black woman that we should be talking about in Black History Month. And I know we got a couple others we talk about, but I'm just saying we always go back so far. Young lady, what's your name? Let's talk about you because of what you're doing right now, because of what you've done. So in 10 years, when kids come through the school, they talking about the 26, the 30-year-old you. It has to be more. Black history has to be more than all that took place 200 years ago, 50 years ago, 75 years ago. And not to say that there haven't been some things that we've done more recent, but again, we keep talking about the same people. Or now we talk, instead of, when we talk about the newer people, it always has to do with entertainment. No, you got to have such a strong voice that if you are in politics and you young, why don't we all know your name? Don't just go into the House or into the Senate and being young and just sit there and let these old people tell you to keep quiet. People voted for you for your voice. Use it so that we know your name just as well as we know the old heads' names. And then we like, think about it. When Obama went to the Senate, he was only there for one term. He wasn't planning on staying there. He had a vision for what he saw for his future and for what he thought the country should look like. Whether you agree or disagree, the brother made the move. So I'm telling you, if you are in the Congress or in the Senate and you sitting there thinking, oh man, I really don't want to step on no toes, then get out. Let some young person come in there that's not afraid to step on some toes, to break some eggs. As they say, you need to break some eggs to make an omelet. I don't need eggs, but hey, whatever y'all do. But I'm just saying, you got to be able to question and challenge the system in order for the system to get better. We don't need to always break it, but we got to make it better. Sometimes you got to break them. But then some system, it's like, it's right, or it has the right foundation, but we got to build on it much better. And sometimes, most of the time, we need some young people that's going to build on that, that's going to help us with that. So I challenge you young people as I wrap this up. I'm challenging you. Stand up. Make Black history about you. Make Black History Month, make Black History Year, make history about you. And not about the negative thing. Not about because you can shoot a jumper. Because it's fine, but it's not impacting our future or our community. That's impacting you, which is great. But become history. Make history. Before the old people leave here, let them be talking about you as a part of Black history. So, again, I challenge you, don't be afraid. Don't stay on the sideline. Get involved. Make change. Be the leader you were born to be. Be the next. Be the next. Be the now. Don't even wait for next. Be now. You know that commercial we got next? You got now. It's your time, young man. It's your time, young woman. So go ahead, take the baton, run with it, and remember that us old heads, we here to support you and encourage you and give you the tools that you need to be successful. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys got something out of this Black history. Appreciate you all celebrating Black history. I hope you did in some way this month. And again, and be kind to your brothers and sisters. Regardless of where they live or where you live, be kind to each other, man. And let's treat each other with some kindness and respect. And so, until next time, I'll say like Israel would say, tell a friend to tell a friend, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Do all that stuff for us, and we appreciate you listening. And I would say what he said, but he ain't here to say it, so I'll just say appreciate you and peace. We out.
Studio. We in the studio. We in the studio. We Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. We Rob We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Catch a vibe. Yeah. I'm in the studio with Rob, I need to make the heat flicker. Is alone and only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom, gemstones on your head top. Good with the OG like Flintstones, good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how he feeling, dog, he might got something to pray. This type of influence that he ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob, come let the heat rock simmer.